Welcome to Knicks Home Court with your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. This is episode number 32. Music on this podcast brought to you by bensound.com. You can find these podcasts on iTunes under Life Culture Sports. You can also find these podcasts under Knicks Home Court on YouTube. You can also find the podcast on SoundCloud under Life Culture Sports, or you can visit the website lifeculturesports.com/Knicks Home Court. So, there's reports that Carmelo is frustrated with Phil Jackson. Trade rumors are flying in the NBA. And the Knicks topic of the week, what's next for the Knicks? Coming up on Knicks Home Court. All right, now we're going to start with the Knicks news of the week. So, at the time of doing this podcast, you already know that DRose had went AWOL from the Knicks. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. A lot of people gave their takes on what they think he should have done or what he should not have done and things like that. I don't really get into those kind of things because, to be honest with you, when someone says it's personal, no matter how much you don't believe them, I tend to back off. That's all you can do. Especially when someone does not have a history of doing these kind of things. That's very important. I think you need to look at. When someone has never done certain things, you can't just assume that they're lying all of a sudden if they've never done this. And DRose in his entire career, at least as far as I know, he's never went AWOL for a game. Now, I want to take on a couple of hot takes. Like I said, I'm going to try to sum this up really quickly. Now, one hot take was that, well, first let me just start with one thing. I hear a lot of people say, well, he at least could have sent a text. At least sent a text, I got a personal issue with my family or my mom. I have to fly back to Chicago. I'm very sorry. I'll explain it later. Something like that in a text or a phone call. That sounds good, but let me tell you the problem with that. If you're actually going through something, I don't know, have you ever had a family member rush to a hospital or, I got a call that my father one day passed out and he was in the hospital. On my way to the hospital, I'm not thinking about texting anyone. I'm not thinking about calling anyone. I'm just trying not to have a panic attack at that point. So I'm just saying, when we don't know what the situation is, I'm just giving you a piece of my life. Now, good thing my father was okay, but at that moment in time, I didn't want to reach out to no one. Now, some people will say, well, what if you had a job? Well, the difference is I'm expendable because I'm not DRose. So the situation, if I had a job, I know that I can possibly be fired. DRose will not be fired. It's a little different, so I can't compare my life to his life as far as that. But I know the inkling. I've had things happen in my life, and maybe I haven't reached out to anyone, because the problem is when you reach out to people and you tell them that something's going on, the next thing they're going to do is reach back to you. And sometimes you don't want to deal with that shit. You just focused on what you're dealing with. We've all had situations. But the thing is, with NBA players or athletes, we dehumanize them. So that's one take. Then I heard another take that that maybe he had like a little bit of a mental breakdown because, they sat him against Milwaukee, and he also sat in the fourth quarter, in the next game, and maybe he had somewhat of a mental breakdown or whatever. And if that's the case, let me tell you something about that. I know people who suffer from depression and anxiety. And when that hits, I've been told when that situation hits full force, sometimes there's nothing you could do. There's nobody you can call. There's nobody to talk to. You just freeze up. And things happen, man. Look, he got fined. Then I'm hearing people, I heard Charles Barkley. Oh, the Knicks should punish him. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just a layman. but he's getting punished over $100,000, maybe 190 a game check. He's not going to get paid for that game. So even though they're saying it's okay, they're not paying him for that game. That is punishment. I'm not going to say it's punishment enough or whatever, but you got to understand the situation the Knicks are in. Y'all say what y'all want. The Knicks are in a tailspin right now. They don't need to suspend one of their better players because that's cutting off your nose to spite your face. This is not college. This is not high school. Where this is the NBA. And he gave a reason, personal reasons. If the problem is that if think about it this way, if the only problem the Knicks have and the only problem most people tend to have is that he didn't reach out to them, that's not worthy of a game suspension. Think about it. Forget about everything else. The one thing that everybody consistently is saying they have a problem with, they all saying they have a problem that he didn't reach out to the team. So if he didn't send them a message, it's like when you out sick and you don't call, if that's their only problem, a fine of in excess of $150,000 is accurate. We don't know what he told them privately. My mother had a stroke. My mother had a heart attack. She had a false alarm. We don't know. But I do know this. See, I don't know, a lot of Knicks fans probably don't remember, but remember Stephon Marbury was playing for the Knicks and his father had a heart attack? The Knicks did not tell him his father had a heart attack until after the game. His father died. Stephon Marbury, I think his father was at the game. His father had a heart attack and they didn't tell him anything. The game was over. His father died. I don't know if his father died during the game, but his father died. And I'm sorry. That's fucked up. There's no other way to put that. But a lot of people forgot about that. Look that up. Stephon Marbury's father, he had a heart attack or a stroke at the Knicks game, or he felt chest pains and they took him away and nobody told Marbury. Nobody. So please understand the dynamics here. Maybe the Knicks is realizing this happened in the past. Maybe when I say the Knicks, not Phil Jackson, because they weren't here when Marbury's here. But trust me, their staff, somebody said, you know what, we handled the last situation wrong. We need to handle this situation a little better and handle it with kid gloves. All right? That's all I'm going to say about that Derrick Rose situation. I don't want to go. I really went too long with that. I'm done with that. He's back. He's been playing well. And at the end of the day, you want him to be playing well. That's it. I just recently seen a report that, now, I don't know how true it is. I really don't. All right, let me tell you something. I heard this report that Carmelo Anthony is growing frustrated with Phil Jackson. Again, Knicks fans, I'll tell you this. I don't believe sources anymore. I don't believe sources that can't be proven. Only sources I believe, if Wojnarowski, I always get his name wrong, Woj, when he tweets out something, he's been proven to be accurate. All the rest of these dudes, I don't really pay attention to them. Seriously. So saying, that he's increasingly frustrated with Phil Jackson, if them words didn't come out of his mouth, don't go for it. Another thing, when you get Knicks content, understand the Knicks have an app. They also have a website. You can literally see the interviews themselves. You don't have to interpret, because what happens is, now we have access. Years ago, we didn't have access. They would interview the players and they would give us their take on what they believe what the players were actually saying. Now we can look at the same exact thing that they're looking at. We can hear the question they ask and we can hear the answer that's given. That is awesome, because when you I'm not even saying about doing research. You don't have to do research. The Knicks app is not a great app, but at least it shows the interviews. MSG website. You can go there and you can look to the interviews yourself. You don't have to have somebody like Mark Berman interpret shit, because you got to understand a lot of these is clickbait, and we all know about clickbait. So that's all I'm saying about that, Knicks fans. Please pay attention to that. It's just frustrating. So we're saying that Melo might be frustrated. Look, as I told my friend, a friend of mine, we was talking about the Knicks. Carmelo Anthony is not going anywhere. Why? Because life is not just about basketball for him. And as a fan, life shouldn't be about just being a Knicks fan. You know, it's okay for basketball fans to like football and baseball, right? And have other things going on in their life. But NBA players can only be focused on basketball. It's ridiculous. He's a human. You know, everybody says, oh, he should move. And you got to understand something. They had mentioned that DRose might be missing his son and his family because now he's in New York and not Chicago. So you got to understand that dynamic of these players. He's settled here. He has friends here. His son goes to school here. His son has friends here. Lala has a career here. Everything is here. I'm going to chase a trophy. I'm going to go and chase a trophy, which is not guaranteed. I mean, Golden State won over what? They broke Chicago Bulls' record and did not win the championship. And they're not even guaranteed to win it this year. It's hard to win an NBA championship. He's happy where he is. Don't knock him for being loyal. That's the funny shit. This is the funny shit. That's why I'm curious in this question. If somebody can get this to the media or whatever, I'm not even trying to call him or tweet him or whatever. But we criticize LeBron for leaving and building a super team. We criticize Kevin Durant for going to Golden State. And then we criticize Melo for staying, even though it's tough times right now. He's being loyal and he's staying during tough times. What do y'all want? What do y'all want? Really? That's why I try to tell you some in the media is full of shit because y'all want, yeah, I don't get it. So LeBron should have stayed with Cleveland even though they weren't good enough to win a championship. Even though they were winning, they weren't good enough to win a championship, but he should have stayed there. Right? And Melo should leave his team. Like it's just the hypocrisy in the media is ridiculous. You know. So anyway, I went a little too long on that. I want to move on to NBA news of the week. Actually, I should call this segment NBA rumors of the week because that's all it is right now. It's rumors. You know, like there's rumors that Tim Hardaway Jr., once a Knick, always a Knick, may be on the trading block. Oh, you know who else might be on the trading block? Danilo Gallinari and Wilson Chandler. Hey, Knick fans, what do you think about trying to bring one of those guys back, or maybe both of them? You know, being that we gave up so much. We gave up so much to get Carmelo, but they're willing to give those players up. And the big center, I don't know why his name is I'm forgetting his name right now, but he plays for the Lakers now, and he's played for Cleveland. Cleveland didn't want him. He's on the Lakers. So, look, this is a prime example while I would always say, you never trade your star. You know, I heard a quote. Let me just give you this quote that Jerry West said. Not Jerry West. Good Lord. Old age is a mother. Now, let me give you this quote that the late Dr. Buss said. When Kobe Bryant was going through some turbulence with the LA Lakers, remember they were down for a couple of years. And he was getting frustrated. He actually was thinking about signing with the LA Clippers. I don't know if y'all remember that or recall that, but he was about to do that. And there was a lot of offers for him to trade Kobe. Other teams were willing to trade Kobe and give them a lot of good players. And I'm probably going to butcher the quote a little bit, but I'm going to try my best at this. So Jim Buss's philosophy was you don't trade a 5-carat diamond for 5 1-carat diamonds. Do you understand what he's saying there? You don't trade a 5-carat diamond for 5 1-carat diamonds. In other words, there's nothing you can trade Melo for that's going to get you back equal value. There's no There's no way you're going to trade Melo and get somebody back that's going to average 20 points a game and command double teams all the time. You're just not going to get that. So, and he's not going to okay a trade. So just get over that. That's all. Other trade rumors. Well, the Atlanta Hawks have decided not to trade. These are all rumors because unless they actually speak, they're rumors. Paul Millsap has come off the market, and I think that's because they had a recent winning streak. And also, how would you feel if you Dwight Howard? I just signed with y'all, and y'all trading off your assets? What kind of bullshit is that? He might have went into that office like, yo, what the fuck? Y'all just signed me. Yeah, I like money, but I thought I was joining a playoff team. Y'all about to blow it up? What kind of shit? Like, I understand that Dwight Howard should be mad. So they deciding, the thing is, right, I think that what really might have happened is Millsap, because this is what happens with players. You have a home. You build a home. You get used to an arena. You get used to the fan base. You get used to life where you're at. Even if you're not winning a championship, players understand winning a championship is not guaranteed at all. And he's comfortable there. And they're a playoff team. They're a decent team. And maybe a couple of moves here and there, they can become a better team. So Millsap might have went in that office and said, yo, look, this is what I'm going to want to resign. Look, I'm giving y'all first dibs. Maybe he didn't put a number down, but he's like, I'm giving y'all first dibs, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I might want to sign for. And they decided, you know what? It's easier to build a team when you have good NBA players. For those people who get caught up in a draft, Anthony Bennett, a number one pick, just got cut by the Nets. You get cut by the worst team in the NBA, you're not an NBA player, period. And that's how much of a crapshoot the NBA lottery, they call it a lottery, folks. It's a crapshoot. There's no guarantee you're going to get good players. And then when you do, it takes a long time for those players to get to develop. Remember the guy that the Knicks fans had wanted to get? Two guys. Moutier, who is not really impressive right now. I wanted him, but he's not really impressive right now. I like Stanley Johnson, who is out of the rotation. Okafor, who was the third pick in the draft, out of the rotation. Hazonia, another guy. I mean, these guys are good, but I'm just saying, I think they will be good. But it's a crapshoot, man. If you got a player that's already producing, you don't change that. All right? And that's the NBA news of the week. Brief, like I said, I wasn't going to go all into that. And I want to briefly, I've been touching on it, but I want to touch on the topic of the week. So I'm running out of time here. I went a little long on a couple of things. First of all, I want to spend a minute on, I want to talk about Porzingis for a second. I'm really impressed. Oh, I didn't say what the topic of the week. Well, the topic of the week is, where are the Knicks going? What happens next with this Knicks team? What is going to happen? You know, should you still keep hope alive, as they say? All right, so now I want to talk about Porzingis. I was telling a friend that I believe Porzingis can be our Manu Ginobili. Now, before you drop your coffee or before you turn off the podcast, I'm not saying as good. I'm saying someone who came to the league at an older age, came as a grown man at 27 years old, and he could be our version of that guy. You know, I mean, I think that Porzingis, because I butcher his name, he's 6'9". He's moderately athletic. He's pretty athletic, though. I think he's a better player than Derek Williams right now. It's crazy. And Derek Williams, again, a number 2 pick who was destroying in college. It's a crapshoot. I think he can hold his own in this league. I saw him in the Olympics, and he's playing NBA level talent, and he was scoring, and he's becoming more aggressive and confident. And this bodes well for the Knicks in the future. I think we can get a good 5 years out of him. And, you know, and that's the only reason I'm comparing him to Ginobili, is that Ginobili was overseas and Ginobili was an older player. He didn't come here as a young player, you know, if I'm not mistaken. So that's all I'm comparing. Not so much the talent, but some of the talent, but more the fact that he was a little more advanced for a player, you know. So, where do the Knicks go? Only thing I can say is, like I said in the last podcast, pay attention to the Knicks defense. The Knicks allow teams to get into their rhythm. The Knicks don't need to talk about defense. I don't know what you're talking about. Just extend your defense. Just make every pass difficult. Make every pick. Sometimes fight through a pick and get a foul. It doesn't matter. It's all about defensive principles. This is the NBA. You're never going to be able to stop individual players or individual play. You have to play team defense, and you have to make things hard. Again, when you watch the Knicks games, watch good defensive teams, how they make it difficult for other teams to even make passes. They disrupt their play. There's plays that's drawn up, and a good defense will disrupt that play and disrupt the rhythm of the play, therefore making the team go into some kind of abbreviated play or sometimes isolated play that they weren't prepared for, and that's what the Knicks need to do. So anyway, going forward, I'm a Knicks fan. Let me be real. I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm going to remain optimistic. And I'm going to tell you like this. When I'm not optimistic as a Knicks fan, I'm not watching. I'm not one of those people that watch and torture myself. When I'm not feeling optimistic about the Knicks' chances, I won't watch. There's no reason to if I'm not being entertained. Right? So they went through a tailspin. They're only 3 games out of the fifth spot. So going forth, they have a tough week coming up. I'm going to err on the side of hope. And yes, I call it hope because I have no facts to back this up. But I'm looking for them to do well. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention too. DRose. He's looking spry. He's looking very spry. And I think it was Mike Breen or someone on the broadcast the other day said, wow, it looks like the Knicks have a lot more space to operate with DRose and Carmelo taking turns doing their thing, right? And Porzingis doesn't clog that up. What it is I believe that Porzingis and Noah may clog that up. Knicks have to figure out a way to unclog that. Now, I think the Knicks, if you look at DRose and Carmelo Anthony and Porzingis, the Knicks need to model that team basically after the Miami Heat. Now, when I say that, is DRose is a ball dominant guard, Melo's a ball dominant forward, and actually Kristaps can play the role of Chris Bosh better than Chris Bosh because he's a better shooter. But I think that the Knicks need to look into that style of play. I'm not saying they're anywhere as good. I'm not saying DRose is anywhere as good as Dwayne Wade at that time, or Carmelo is anywhere near as good as LeBron James at that time. No. What I'm saying is style of play. DRose style of play is similar to Wade's style of play. Carmelo's style of play isn't as similar to LeBron's. However, he's ball dominant like LeBron. Now, what they would do is they would put Bosh in the corner for the three-pointer. They would have him at the top of the key for the three-pointer, and he just feasted off of their drives and penetrations and double teams. And I think that can work for the Knicks. I think when you have Noah in the game as well as Porzingis, I think it kind of clogs things up. Because where you gonna hide Noah? Noah's man is always gonna sag back. That's why Noah has been doing a good job darting to the rim. He has to continue to do that. Also, too, if you put Melo at the 4, it helps the defense. I would love to see Lance Thomas in the starting lineup along with Porzingis. I would like this starting lineup to be DRose, Courtney Lee, Lance Thomas, Carmelo Anthony, Kristaps Porzingis, with the second 5 of Brandon Jennings, Justin Holiday, Kuzminskis. It could be Kylo Quinn and Noah. Now, I know that's clogging it up a little bit, but that's all right because that's the second unit. I think that would make the team. Plus, it would give Noah, it would give him a little longevity. We got him for 4 years. He can anchor the second half. We don't need Porzingis to be chasing power forwards around. We just don't need to do that. And a lot of people think he's not ready to play center. You got to try it. You got to at least try it. You can always make the change in game. Or you can use the same starting lineup and go to that lineup every now and then. And I got issues with Brandon Jennings too right now. He hasn't been playing well. But Baker is not the answer. Okay? But anyway, that's the state of the Knicks. That's what's going on. I think the Knicks going forward, I think they're still a good team. I cannot see a team with a healthy DRose, who's getting his hops back, who's been dunking lately, and a semi-healthy or mostly healthy Carmelo Anthony. And when Porzingis comes back, a healthy Porzingis, I can't see that team continue to lose in this manner. I think all of this losing that's been taking place is all mental. And I think that not being able to stop teams and teams being able to score whenever, I think that's taking a toll. That has been taking a toll on the Knicks. Can't blame the triangle, folks. I haven't seen a triangle shape in a while. But anyway, that brings us to the end of this podcast. It's been real. Knicks Home Court, episode number 32. My name is Greg Armstrong. Y'all have a good week. Peace.